टेम्पोवर बोलेल,
हा,
पण जो स्लाइड्स आहेत लावू का?
हा.
लावा. And I will speak from my own experience with all different outbreaks and
Lights can be
epidemics.
just background. You will be speaking extempore only.
I don't know.
Can I be heard?
Yes, Yashwant.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Good,
Yashwant,
thanks.
put on your video.
Yeah,
You can meet Gangakhedkar online. I'll introduce you both.
yeah.
So this is my husband and the chairman of Aacci, who has taken over after my father's
Hi.
demise. He was
Morning.
vice
Namaskar, sir.
chairperson.
Namaskar.
Thank you very much.
आणि गंगाखेडकर तर तू 1000 वेळा टीव्हीवर बघितलेच आहेस.
हो, बघितलंय. गंगाखेडकर नाव हे आम्हाला फार परिचित आहे.
हो का?
हा, पण भेटीचा योग नाही आला.
अच्छा, माझ्यामुळं मला वाटलं माझे वडील रेव्हेन्यू मध्ये, माझे
नाही,
काका रेव्हेन्यू सर्व्हिस वाले.
तुमचं गंगाखेड म्हणजे तुम्ही गंगाखेडचे का? ती काय संबंध नाही.
नाही ती
यू आर बॉर्न इन बॉम्बे.
नाही, हे आम्ही सगळे हैदराबादचे.
अच्छा, हैदराबाद. डॉक्टर
निजाम,
लेले.
हा, लेले सरांची त्याच्यामुळे जास्त.
अच्छा अच्छा.
आणि ती निजामाच्या काळात बाल तमगा जहागीर मिळाली.
हो, ओके.
पण ते टिपिकल ब्राह्मण ते करता येत नाही काही. हैदराबादलाच राहिले, ते जागीरदारीसाठी वेगळा पिंड लागतो.
बरोबर आहे.
नुसतंच नाव राहिलं ते.
So I can introduce as a man from royal family.
हा, you are a royal family.
नाही.
You are a satrap. You are a satrap.
नाही.
कारण डॉक्टर लेले वर्क इन गंगाखेड.
आय नो.
म्हणून
Gangapur actually.
हा, गंगापूर. सॉरी, गंगापूर.
He was just admiring Samir's meticulousness. Phoned him 50 minutes before. Samir is really a great organizer. He's doing the YouTube link. He's busy.
Mute, is it? Acha, okay.
No, YouTube link.
Okay.
Vikram and Sharmila Lele have joined. Dr. Agarkar was like another son to my father, Gangakhedkar. They yala hote, TIFR la, medical officer. Agarkar, are you on the line? He did a lot of work with him on his autobiography publication.
अरे वा.
नमस्कार.
नमस्कार सर.
सर, गंगाखेडकर हे नाव मी अकोल्याचं आहे बेसिकली, आणि तिथे माझ्या बाबांचे एक मित्र ते वैद्य होते, आणि तेव्हापासून आम्हाला हे नाव माहिती आहे.
नाही, ते सर ते खरोखर गंगाखेडवाले.
बरोबर.
आम्ही उपरे नुसतं नाव घेऊन बाहेर निघालो.
मग तुम्ही एक काम करायला पाहिजे होतं की तुम्ही गंगाखेडकर जागीरदार असं म्हणायला पाहिजे होतं.
नाही.
तिथे आय थिंक डॅडींना पण ओळखत होते बहुतेक, मला माहित नाही.
Sharmila is Vikram's wife. Her father Shantaram Sagne was an IS officer and a very close friend of Yashwant. Sharmila video लाव ना, म्हणजे you can.
हो आज चालू करते. एक मिनिट, there is some issue.
Sharmila is the secretary of Aacci.
सगळे पण हे होते ना, ते काय बीडीओ मराठवाड्यामध्ये सगळे,
म्हणजे खूप आधी देगलूर अंबेजोगाई तिथे.
हो, अंबेजोगाईला असताना इमर्जन्सीच्या वेळेला अंबेजोगाईला होते.
हो,
He was in charge also, Naga. He was in charge of the RTO also, na?
That was here, but he was transport commissioner here.
Yeah, transport.
ते जेव्हा डॉक्टर गंगाखेडकर ते आंबेजोगाई वगैरेची आठवण काढतात. आय थिंक दॅट इज वेअर दे वर्क टुगेदर.
नाही, माझे वडील सगळ्यांना चांगले ओळखायचे.
अच्छा.
आणि मला आठवतं इमर्जन्सीच्या वेळेला आपण सगळे तरुण होतो, फार राग आला होता, असं का करतायत म्हणून. नाही, त्यांच्याशी एकदा आर्ग्युमेंट झाल्याचे आठवतात मला.
Actually, Gangakhedkar intrinsically, Sharmila's Maher is in the
हा.
same building as ours in Churchgate. ते 6व्या मजल्यावर आहेत आणि आम्ही 3ऱ्या मजल्यावर आहोत.
हो
We
का?
joined the cooperative society together, यशवंत and Shantaram.
म्हणजे वी आर अंडर देअर छत्र. Or conversely, we are supporting them from below.
Below. Chala, I think now people have started joining.
Yeah.
Welcome, Mr. Singarellu. Devansh is another technical expert. He's a medical student and Dr. Sami Shah's son. But he's also he's a youth member of Aacci. Hi, Devansh. Say hello to everyone.
बरं, हे फ्रेम मध्ये येतंय का जे आयटीचे सांगू
Morning,
शकतो?
Swati madam.
Yeah. Hello.
Good morning, Raman sir. Good morning, sir.
Singarellu, hi.
मॉर्निंग सर.
Yashwant sir. Good morning.
He's a very senior pediatrician, Yashwant. Singarellu, and he's
So,
joining
sir,
Aacci now. He is just filling the form.
Thank you.
After the oration, we must invite Dr. Gangakhedkar at home with the Aacci team to celebrate.
येईन नक्की येईन मॅडम.
Shailaja Mane is professor and HOD at DY Patil and Aacci Pune branch in charge.
बरं.
Hi, Shailaja, put on your video. Ajinkya Bhave is our elder son, PhD in robotics. He's regional manager in Siemens. All of you just put your video. You can say hello to our chief guest, our orator.
नाही मला एकदम
Madam, Raman sir first inaugurated last year our national IAP के बाद committee sir was the chief guest. We were there with you, sir. I was as vice president. I was with you.
Yes.
I know.
He's a popular figure for all inaugurations.
Yeah.
Yesterday only he went to Aurangabad for Bajaj Hospital inauguration and came back at night.
Good morning, madam.
Hello, RG. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
RG Patil is from Nagpur and head of Vidarbha Regional Center of Aacci.
Nice to meet you, all of you, sir.
Sir.
Ajinkya, say hello to Dr. Gangakhedkar. This is our son.
Hello. Hi.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, I am Abhijit Bharadwaj from Nagpur.
Yes, he's a coordinator for Vidarbha Regional Branch. Avinash is a student from Grand Medical College. We are going to portray him in one of our Zindagi Zara Hatke. From a pediatrician, he has become a geriatrician. He's trained in geriatrics.
I will just come. Huh?
Yeah. You can put your...
Raman sir, you can see the spirit of our past president, senior most president, Madam Swati, always active. That is the spirit of IAP.
Thank you, thank you.
Hey, I know her for a pretty long period of
You
time.
might be knowing.
Yeah, spirit without
Only I
spirit.
sent a picture to her, which was taken 99 when she was very active in those days. Just I got the picture I sent to her.
Oh, thank you. Yashwant says that she's spirited without spirits. I don't take alcohol. I think now we are going to go on YouTube. So we'll stop all the private conversations.
Is it my screen is visible now?
Yes.
So we are live in the YouTube now.
Yeah.
I am just sharing my screen. So at least I can also check my presentation also. Is it moving properly?
Yes.
Yes.
Voice is there? Voice is there, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome, Dr. Sangeeta Yadav, guest of honor. Sangeeta worked very, very actively with me in Delhi Aacci. She was my right hand, and she was MAMC, former professor, and at present Hamdard professor. Hi, Sangeeta.
Hi. Good morning, all. Lovely to
Good
see
morning,
you.
madam. Good morning.
Good
Morning,
morning.
Sangeeta ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Singravelli. Good morning, Dr. Patil. And good morning, Dr. Gangakhedkar. We have been interacting on some forums,
I know.
ICMR as well as Pune Virology related to polio.
I know.
Hmm.
Polio is a nightmare for us.
Then COVID came.
Can we say was or
I
is?
know, but I don't know. I used to have sleepless nights for polio before COVID came. I cannot say much in the public. It was sad. But our country is very difficult to manage.
Vast.
Welcome, Sujata. Advocate Sujata is Ajinkya's wife, Dr. Gangakhedkar, and my daughter-in-law, our daughter.
Yes,
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
I,
In your video.
Good morning, Sujata.
Dr. Sandeep Kaude is PCB Aacci in charge.
Myself and Dr. Bhave have had a personal and a professional journey together.
Yeah, over years.
Working together.
We set up the adolescent health in IAP. A nice team. Andura Sovani is a psychologist from Bombay who gave the first Dr. Lele oration. She also happens to be my cousin and Dr. Lele's niece.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Vishwas's wife. You have met Dr. Vishwas Sovani, sir, several times. He'll be joining today.
Yeah.
Good morning, Swati and
Hi.
Dr. Sangeeta and everyone. And Happy New Year to everyone.
Yeah. Hope this year is not going into any epidemic or pandemic.
Oh, yes.
Samir will start sharp at 10 as usual. Welcome Chandrasekhar Chinnaswamy. Welcome Chitra Kulkarni, who's from Aacci, Navi Mumbai and Mumbai.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning. Happy New Year, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Same to you.
Hello.
Welcome, Mridula madam.
Hello. Good morning, Dr. Swati. Good morning, all the IAP stalwarts.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning, Dr. Uday, Vasant. Very good morning. I'm feeling so nice to see you all. Good morning.
Good morning, madam. Good morning. Good morning,
Good morning,
Swati.
Uday.
Good morning. Namaste.
Good
Yeah.
morning. Good morning.
Good
Welcome,
morning,
Uday.
madam. Good morning, Dr.
Swati, you are looking gorgeous, Swati.
Thank
Hello,
you.
Dr. Sangeeta ma'am.
Good morning. Lovely, always to see you, madam. You give us
Very
this
pleased to meet
positive
you.
vibes and energy.
I am in the midst of such great dignitaries of IAP that my day is made today with Professor Dr. Lele Oration.
Mridula ma'am was chief guest of Oration too. With Madhuri KHALATKAR and Uday Bodhankar was a guest of honor.
Yeah, good morning, Swati, madam.
Hi, Uday. How do you do?
Good morning, Yeshwar. Yes, good morning, Yeshwar.
Somebody is having a background noise. Can the person please mute?
Sandeep Kade, Yogesh, Yashwant Bhave.
नमस्कार फडके मॅडम. खूप वर्षांनी पाहतोय बरं. आणि बोधनकर सर बऱ्याच दिवसांनी.
Good morning, Gangakhedkar sir. Pranam, Dr. Bodhankar from Nagpur.
सर मी तेच म्हणलो,
नमस्कार
खूप
sir.
खूप महिन्यानंतर पाहिलंय.
I know. Thank you, धन्यवाद.
Congratulations, and good morning, Dr. Gangakhedkar. Very happy
Yes,
to
sir.
see you after so many years.
Very
Great
much.
work.
खरंय, खूप वर्ष झाली.
Hoy.
Good morning, Swati madam. Good morning, Bodhankar sir.
Good morning,
Sangeeta
Geeta Patil, madam.
Good morning, good morning.
Geeta. Dr. Chitra is there, Prashant, everybody is there. So lovely to me.
Hi, Sangeeta. Have you joined?
Hi. Good morning.
Morning.
Madam, good morning. Can we start at sharp 10 o'clock? Unmute, ma'am.
Yes, Samir, we can go ahead.
I just call upon once our chief guest, Dr. Vasant sir, and then we can start the
Samir,
program.
I am already there. Within 5 minutes, I will be there.
Perfect, sir.
On video. Huh?
Perfect,
There.
perfect, sir.
No issue.
Absolutely.
Within 5 minutes, I will be on video.
Perfect, sir.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Sure. I'm
So-
listening. I'm listening.
Okay, sir.
Welcome, Dr. Vasant Khalatkar, Chief Guest.
So,
Madam, thank you, madam.
we all are on live on the YouTube also. So if anybody is not able to join in this, they can see the live to us by YouTube. So respected seniors, colleagues and friends, very good morning and wishing you all happy, prosperous and healthy 2025 and ahead. It's my pleasure and pride to host you all since 5 years in one of the very prestigious years of the Aacci in the very beginning of every year since 2021. Along with my two co-moderator, Dr. Prasad Karya and Dr. Sandeep Kavre. Since 2021, we fortunate to have very excellent orator who enrich us in their knowledge and wisdom. Starting from the Dr. Anuradha Suvani, she delivered on talk on the holistic health of the children and the young people, role of the parent, teacher, and grandparent. Followed by our own Dr. Madhuri Kanitkar ma'am, give an excellent talk on the war against the COVID in the 2022. In 2023, we having a respected Dr. Y.K. Ambedkar sir given the oration on the medicine, a science of the health, not just a disease. And in last year, we having a fortune to having a Professor Anupam Sibal given a very good insight of the oration by giving a oration on can India become the Vishwa Guru in healthcare. And today we fortunate to have Dr. RAMAN GANGAKHEDKAR sir. We having a very excellent chief guest and guest of honor starting from the Dr. Srikant Chorgade sir and Dr. Pukhraj Babna in 2021, Dr. Mrudula Parkar madam and Dr. Uday Bodankar in 22, Dr. Bakul Parekh and Dr. Upendra Kinjwadekar sir in 2023, and Dr. G.V. Basavaraj sir and Dr. Nandulkar Jairam was in 2024. And today we having a fortunate to chief guest Dr. Vasant Khalatkar, our IAP President 2025, along with the guest of honor Dr. SANGEETA YADAV madam. So let's start our program with the lamp lightning as what we usually do in all the ritual programs.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With this, we are now opening our today's oration on epidemic to pandemic, understanding the evolution by Dr. Raman GANGAKHEDKAR sir, and with the how we can forget the Dr. our Saraswati Mata, and for that Saraswati Vanna, I just giving a very good introduction of Mrs. Jayshree Rande from Pune. She is a niece of Dr. R.D. Lele, and she give every year such a good melodious voice Saraswati Vanna. So we just go for Saraswati Vanna and then we can start our oration.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रामृता श्वेत पद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शंकर प्रभुदिभिर् देवै सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा जय गणेश लंबोदर गजमुख जय गणेश लंबोदर गजमुख जय विघ्नहरण सुखकारक हे जय विघ्नहरण सुखकारक हे जय गणेश लंबोदर गजमुख जय गणेश जय मूषक वाहन एकदंत जय मूषक वाहन एकदंत पार्वती शिव सुत मोदक प्रिय गे जय गणेश लंबोदर गजमुख जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश लंबोदर गजमुख
So, with such a melodious and spiritual atmosphere, now I requesting our chairman, Dr. Yashwant Bhave sir, to give a welcome to all with welcome to all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Samir. As chair of Aacci, it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome the dignitaries for the 5th Aacci Dr. Lele Oration today. First of all, I welcome the speaker for today, 5th Dr. R.D. Lele Oration, Dr. RAMAN GANGAKHEDKAR, Distinguished Professor, Symbiosis International, Deemed University, former Dr. C.G. Pandit, National Chair, Indian Council of Medical Research, for willingly accepting our invitation today. We look forward to his lecture on the critical issue, namely epidemics to pandemics, understanding the evolution. He, as all of you know, is known to be a great scholar and orator. I am sure we will enjoy and greatly benefit from his excellent speech. Second, I welcome the chief guest, Dr. VASANT KHALATKAR, IAP President 2025 from Nagpur, for gracing this occasion. He is a family friend. We are very proud that he has taken over as president of the prestigious IAP organization. Third, I welcome the guest of honor, Professor SANGEETA YADAV, Head Pediatrics, HIMSR Delhi. She too is a close family friend. She has worked with Aacci for the last so many years. And finally, it is my honor to welcome all of you, the participants, for sparing their time and logging in for this event and multiplying our joy. All of you have been closely associated with Dr. R.D. Lele as his students, friends, or colleagues. The Lele and Bhave families are indeed very grateful and will always remember your presence on this important occasion. Dr. Lele's interest in many varied fields have been truly amazing. He was equally at ease and adept on topics like cricket, shairi, music, and politics. Lele has worked at diverse places and always with distinction, humility, empathy, and consummate commitment to his profession. His work has inspired many and left a lasting impression. His work has spanned areas from rural Maharashtra to Medical College at Nagpur, JJ Hospital and Grant Medical College, Mumbai, Jaslok Hospital, and also at Lilavati Hospital. His zest for knowledge continued till the very end. As is aptly said by the poet Wasim Barelvi, जहां चराग रहेगा, जहां रहेगा वहीं रोशनी लुटाएगा, जहां रहेगा वहीं रोशनी लुटाएगा, किसी चराग का अपना मका तो नहीं होता. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir, for the nice welcome to the all. Now it's really time to introduce our own association, Aacci. For that, I just sharing my screen again. So, Aacci is the Association of the Adolescent and Child Care in India, having a pillar of teachers, parents, children, and youth, which now one more pillar of grandparents is also added. Since its inception in 2007 and launching in 2008, it will be done a very good public awareness program on a different concept of adolescent health and children's welfare. It will be launched with a program of the prevention of lifestyle diseases in 2008. Our mission is to holistic health in the children and adolescent and young adults, promotion of the healthy lifestyle and prevention of the lifestyle associated disease through the life skill approach. We work through our main pillar, that is teachers, parents, and of course grandparents. We are a group of the doctors, including pediatricians, physicians of all specialty and mental health professionals. We also have volunteers from all stakeholders of the child and adolescent health, including the parents, teachers, educationalists, lawyers, sports and physiotherapists, research scientists also. We do mainly urban-based work with a parent, teacher, and student in the school and colleges. And recently, we also started the Tribal Children projects. We had presented many research papers on youth lifestyle and behavior on the national and international forum and won many awards also. Our board of directors, starting from our late respected Dr. R.D. Lele sir, present honorary chairman Dr. Mr. Yashwant Bhave sir, honorary executive director Dr. Swati Bhave ma'am, honorary secretary Mrs. Sharmila Lele, with our national core group of ethical committee, myself, Dr. Samir Shah, Dr. Anuradha Sovani madam is the chairperson, and Dr. Surekha Joshi. We are having a apt different forum that include the youth forum headed by Dr. Prasant Karya, parent forum headed by Dr. Sandeep Kavade, teachers forum headed by Dr. Sailja Mane ma'am, and grandparent forum. At presently, we having a now heading by Mr. Dr. Kamlakar Devgare sir. We having at the same time international forum also, and we have started many activity on that forum. We having a unique 7 city center across the country with 5 regional center, and with the help of the more than 2,250 volunteers, we are doing a different activity related to adolescent and child care across the India and international presence also. Our social media presence is now very well recognized through our 2 specific websites along with the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Aacci is doing many international activities, and since 2019, from pre-COVID era, we are regularly doing the very online innovative programs on different aspects of the adolescent health in international forum also. We are regularly giving a participation in our International Adolescent Health Week since 2020, and this year also we did a great participation of the International Adolescent Health Week in collaboration with the Adolescent Health Academy of the IAP. Aacci is recognized to invite the Aacci work in many international conferences and WHO forums. Awards for the Aacci is definitely about to occur because of their excellent work on the NCD awareness prevention in children and youth and different parenting programs in the community. At the same time, we are doing many conference presentations about our different work, what we are doing on regular basis. Aacci is a part of the Healthy India Alliances of the NCD Prevention as a founder member. Our books on the different subject of the adolescent and the children health is very known to everyone. At the same time, we having a unique program of life skill education. We have the training of the corporates, parents, teacher, and students with a master training workshop on the WHO life skill education also. These are the few glimpses of our workshop, what we are doing, our regular training of life skill. We did this type of the work not only into the school but also in the different colleges, and we directly focusing on our topics. Since lockdown, we learned the e-learning programs, and we are doing a regular webinar based different community and learning programs on learning. Activity during 2024, this is a year of the collaboration, what we are usually saying, because we have so many collaboration this year, starting from the Jahangir Medical College, Women Pediatric Forum, collaboration, Baby Cloud collaboration. Also with the International Adolescent Health Week, we had collaborated with the different associations, including the Association of the AHA and IAP. This year, we celebrated our own Aacci week in mainly with theme of the decoding of the modern parenting. We had also started a regular series of the international webinar series and Zindagi Zara Hatke, a specific program that is related with the specific targeted non person or known personality who is really work hard in a specific way, in way that is the something different than the routine daily life. We have so many research and also presented same research in different conferences also. So in short, this is the all about the what we are did during this 2008, and this is the all about the Aacci is. With this short introduction of the Aacci, now I give requesting the Dr. Swati Bhave, our Executive Director, to give introduction of Dr. R.D. Lele, sir. Madam.
So I'm sorry, today I've got a very bad throat. So this introduction, which I had recorded in 2023, we are going to play that. And at the end, I'll give my comments. So Samir, can you please start the recorded one?
Okay, sure. I think my voice is clear, right?
Yeah.
Hello. My voice is clear?
Yes, yes. So you can start the recorded version.
So I am starting the record. Right, ma'am. Right, ma'am. Sure.
I will update the points after.
Good morning, everybody. It is my proud privilege to introduce our Aacci chairman, Padma Bhushan awardee, Dr. R.D. Lele. It is not easy to condense into a few slides the 94-year journey of Dr. Lele. So the full PPT has been loaded on the Aacci website, and today I will be showing a few glimpses. I have been associated with Dr. Lele in 3 capacities. I have been very proud and privileged to be his daughter and receive his parenting. I've also been a student at Grand Medical College when he was Professor of Medicine and the Dean. And for the last 15 years, he's been guiding us as the chairman for Aacci. Dr. Lele did his MBBS from Osmania University, and he studied all the textbook in English but wrote in Urdu, and that's why he's very proficient in Urdu Shairi. He went to England and did his MRCP and DTMH after working in a village called Gangapur near Hyderabad, because he had to make the finances for going there. And in 1967, he did a fellowship of nuclear medicine in Canada. And he left the lucrative offer which he got at Canada saying, you will get many people in nuclear medicine for Canada, but I have come here to set up nuclear medicine in my country and I should go back. And he's known as a pioneer or father of nuclear medicine and has set up nuclear medicine departments in many medical colleges in the country and the state-of-art nuclear medicine department at Jaslo. He was holding positions of Dean JJ, Director Jaslok, in charge of the nuclear medicine at Lilavati Hospital, and many, many more. Those who really want to know about his inspiring life journey can see his autobiography, Pursuit of Excellence, which is available both in English and in Marathi. And it was released by API in 2010. And the Marathi version was released 2 years later. At 93 years, he had the privilege of having his book release of History of Medicine in India by the Center Council for Research and Ayurvedic Sciences, Ministry of Ayush. The book was released by Rajiv Kumar, Vice Person Niti Aayog, in the august presence of Sri Kiren Rijiju, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and MOS for Ayush. This is not available in print copy, but those who are interested can contact me. I can share the PDF. Some of his awards, there's a huge list. Honorary degree of Doctor of Science, Homi Bhabha Awards, API Association of Physicians Award, Lifetime Achievement Award from Nuclear Medicine. And the picture of he receiving Padma Bhushan and the Dhanvantari Award. A lot of recognitions and working with VIPs around the country. The Vishwanathan's National Excellent Award in Medicine for teaching and medical care. And this is on his 80th, 90th birthday, where we had kept a collage of all his books on a table. There is no subject which Dr. Lele has not covered. Computers in medicine, nuclear medicine, clinical approach and clinical research, which has gone into 4th edition. Books on ancient Indian medicine. He's one of the few allopathic doctors who respected ancient medicine and talked to the Ayurveda and the homeopathy and wrote books on it. He tried very hard to bring them on board to do evidence-based trials, but unfortunately that did not work out. He also was very good in the legal aspects and have written books for medical profession and the law. 2 of these were published by the Rotary. He was a very well-known Rotarian, getting the Paul Harris Award and distinguished awards in a lot of his Rotary activities. This is a picture of Grand Medical College 125th celebration, where Boman Irani came and addressed all of us in the famous Anatomy Hall, which was picturized in Mundabhai MBBS. And you can see me in the audience with my batchmates. And here Boman Irani and Dr. Lele interacting. He was not only just known for his academic excellence and lectures, but he was a very popular figure in social functions where his witty lectures and shairi were very much appreciated. And when forced by his students to come on the dance floor, he also enjoyed dancing. He was a complete man, as they say in Raman's advertisements. And my mother, late Dr. Sunita Lele, was his Sahacharani, Ardhangini, and a life partner in every respect. And I remember that she went with my father to every conference of API and nuclear medicine, whether it was India and abroad. And that was the time I got a lesson how to balance your professional life and private life. Because Dr. Lele's birthday is on 16th January and mine on 26th January. And very often, if the dates clashed, we had to celebrate our birthday before or after the conference. And my mom has been there for us as an excellent mother model, which I try to emulate. And we have been blessed that though my mom passed away early, Dr. Lele is still with us at the age of 94. And here is the picture with his grandchildren and his great-granddaughter, and of course, all of us with our spouses. We celebrated his 80th birthday, where we could call most of his colleagues and students. And we also celebrated his 90th birthday, where we had his little great-granddaughter interact with him.
So in May 2022, my father passed away on 24th June 2023. Coincidentally, my mother also passed away on 24th July in 2003. And these are some of the last glimpses where he was recording his message for Dr. Lele Oration 2022. Next slide, Samir. So we at Aacci are taking his legacy forward. We will continue the annual oration, which was conceptualized by our chairperson Yashwant Bhave in 2022. And I'm so glad that he was able to attend the first 3 orations. And we always remember his presence at that time. Samir Shah gave the concept of annual Aacci Award when we finished our 15 years. It was launched in 2022, and that is also going on very well. And I was very blessed that when I was having health problems in 2019, Dr. Samir Shah took over as the Aacci coordinator, joined by Sandeep Kaude and Prashant Karya. I call them the Trimurti of Aacci, and they have, in spite of all my health issues, carried forward very beautifully the work of Aacci for the last 4 years. We have a Aacci Research Forum under Yashwant Bhave with active involvement of Dr. Anuradha Sowani and Sudekha Joshi, our research coordinator. And in the last 3 years, we have published around 28 papers on multi-centric research, and we intend to carry this around. And though we do the thanks at the end, I would like to take this opportunity that Aacci has completed 17 years in voluntary organization, no membership fees, with my family, first my father and now my husband, contributing for the administrative expenses. And but for this voluntary contribution from people who have been my students, my colleagues, my mentors for the last 17 years, this organization could not be doing what it is doing. And today, all of them are carrying forward in spite of my inability to be actively involved. And I really place on record my thank you to the entire Aacci family. And for this oration, Dr. Samir Shah meticulously every year conducts this, including making the mementos in Vadodara, couriering them to the chief guest, orator, and guest of honor. And every year, Aacci family does videos to give the mementos and give this. And here this year, Dr. Sandeep Kaude and Bhagyashree have done it for our orator. Dr. Uday Bodhankar, RG Patil has done it for the chief guest. And our young Tanu, who is our Aacci youth person, has done it for Sangeeta. So on behalf of Lele and Bhave family, I would like to place on record my love, affection, and gratitude to the entire Aacci volunteers all over the country. May you be blessed and continue working for Aacci, because this is a labor of love for adolescent children, parents, teachers, and grandparents. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for your lovely, affectionate speech on the sir's journey, what we had gone through just now. And now it's time to introduce the tribute by his son, Dr. Vikram Lele, who is at presently working on the path of the father only. So let's hear the wording from him.
Hello to all the participants. It's been almost 2 years since my father, the legendary Professor R.D. Lele, passed away, leaving behind a host of memories, lovely memories of a life well lived, a life lived with passion, lived with a purpose, and spent in service of humanity, a life marked by a multifaceted personality, which was not limited to just work. He had a passion for music, he had a passion for the arts, for the performing arts, for books, and also a great passion for science. He had a very inquiring mind, and the amount of books which he wrote, the very topics on which he wrote, shows us the wide expanse of his mind, which was phenomenal. Wherever I travel in India, I see his students and I meet them, and I can feel and see the profound respect and the profound love which they still have for him and his memories. I'm very happy and proud that my sister, Dr. Swati Bhave, has kept his legacy alive, has kept his memory alive by constituting this R.D. Lele Oration, where eminent personalities come and share their thoughts and achievements in their lives on this platform. I hope she continues. She has inherited all his genes, and we are looking forward to her own autobiography and the struggles and the things which he had undergone. And she's also another success story. I followed in his footsteps. It was a no-brainer for me. He said nuclear medicine is a good branch, and I followed his footsteps, and I don't regret it even a bit. He had already blazed the trail in nuclear medicine, and all I had to do was follow him but his boots were too big to fit into, and I have tried my best to live up to the great expectations, to the great bar which he had raised. Thank you all for attending this webinar, and I hope you continue to do so in future.
So now it's time to introduce our today's chief guest, and for that I requesting my co-moderator Dr. Prashant Karya to give the introduction of our chief guest Dr. Vasant KHALATKAR sir.
Yeah, so thank you so much. It's my honor to introduce CIAP President Dr. Vasant KHALATKAR sir. Dr. Vasant KHALATKAR sir, ever smiling person. He is at present leading National IAP, Central IAP with more than 50,000 members. He is a fellow guide in Diploma in Child Health, done PG Diploma in Infectious Diseases, awarded FIAP, FIC, MCH, and he was the chairperson of the National Pediatric Infectious Disease Chapter and National Chairperson of Academy of Pediatric Neurology also. He was a past president of COMHAD UK, working and director of Colors Children's Hospital for Pediatric Intensive Care, EB member, editor of Pediatric Neurology Bulletin, principal investigator for the Covaxin vaccine, which was for the 2 to 18 years, principal investigator for the typhoid, JE, hepatitis B, pneumococcal and rotavirus vaccines, and many other things. He is national trainer for the various IAP programs and awarded with many things. He was awarded with the most prestigious Fellow of Indian Academy of Pediatrics in 2010, recipient of Dhanvantri Award 2021 by the Honorable Shri Nitinji Gadkari Devi, Nitinji Gadkari, recipient of International Melvin Jones Fellow Awards, recipient of International MS Signature Award 2021, Best President Award of Lions for the District 323, President Excellence Award at the national level, and 5 national awards from the Central IAP for the Breastfeeding Week, Adolescent Week, ORS Week, Breast Branch, and the Teenage Day, along with the 4 state awards from the State IAP. And with this, he is having many academic achievements, like he is the chief editor of Textbook of Child Neurology and Beyond's Clinical Practice Guidance on Common Pediatric and Viral Infections, scientific chairman for the 25th NCPID 2023, scientific chairman for the Neuropedicon 2023, and so many national programs. He is a national trainer. Without taking all the names, because everything is visible on the screen, I must say Vasant KHALATKAR sir fulfills his name, a visionary leader, an academician at par, a simple and a sober person, administrator, and a noble soul with a good, noble person with a good talent. So welcome to our chief guest, Vasant KHALATKAR sir. Thank you so much.
So welcome sir on behalf of the Aacci, and before I tell your recorded talk, I will requesting you to say few words.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Prashant. My voice is also not good. Thank you, Dr. Prashant, for my really brief introduction. is it I am like that or no? I don't know, but Prashant has said all the things. Today's guest of honor, Dr. Sangeeta Madam, Dr. Yashwant, who is the main key person, or my mentor, Dr. Swati Bhave, all the persons of Aacci, members of Aacci coordinator, basically, especially Samir, Dr. Samir, and the very big hands like Dr. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir. You are
Yeah,
very
yeah.
well audible.
Like Dr. Uday Bodhankar and Dr. R.G. Patil, who came to my home also for this recording and all this. Really, it's a good morning to everyone from, I'm in Holkar city, you can say Indore. I'm from at present sitting. The only and greetings from IIP as a national president. Really, when Dr. Swati Bhava Madam, when called her me 1 year before, she's always having a meticulous planning. So she called me 1 year before, Vasant, you to be chief guest. I say, Madam, मैं तो इतने लायक नहीं हूँ. Vasant, no, she said, no, Vasant, this is not what you Vasant. This is you and your post and your all the activity. Thank you, madam, for really giving me this honor. I'm really overwhelmed to be as a chief guest for this activity of oration of Aacci. I'm really proud of today's whose name that Dr. R.D. Lele, this oration is going on because he's alumina of me, and though I couldn't get chance because I was to joined in 1981 in college. Sir left that time. By that time I couldn't, but I listened too much from all my seniors about Dr. R.D. Lele, and as he was in government medical college, our professor in medicine. So really, it's my proud privilege that I got today chance as a chief guest to have a for this oration of my teacher. That's really, इससे बड़ा कोई ऑनर हो ही नहीं सकता कि कोई स्टूडेंट को अपनी टीचर के ओरेशन में एज ए चीफ गेस्ट करके बुलाया जाए. About Aacci, lot of work, really. Or whatsoever, I'm since 5 years, I'm really attached, though not actively, but I'm listening all the activities. I'm present, attending all the webinars and international webinar. Really, it's a great work is going on, and with what to talk about Dr. Swati, Madam Swati Bhavi Madam, I'm always feeling that कोई अगर बड़ी सिस्टर होना तो it should be like Swati Madam. So always advising me in a soft way, not always कि aggressive नहीं. बसंत मेरे लिए ये कुछ करके कभी तक अभी तक एक भी वर्ड से स्वाति मैडम ने मेरे को बोला नहीं. And never. आणि it may be that with Akki's motivation and Dr. Swati Bhavi's motivation. I was sitting with Swati madam and we were talking about adolescence group, and that day just Swati madam said कि अरे यार ये पुणे में क्या चल रहा है, what is that drug abuse, and this is what is this going on, alcohol, this gutka, drugs, what is this? मैं बोला मैडम नागपुर में भी it's the same condition is going on because नागपुर is becoming metro city. It's not better way to talk, but that day the idea clicked in my mind that we should have some good initiative about the drug abuse. And this year we made a short film, that is a documentary film of 19 minutes, that is a Disha, which is on drug abuse. This is for community message. It's by Bollywood actors we have taken, and it will be a great surprise that our film got award for International Film Festival. Yesterday I had taken. This is the first time I am declaring it that we received. That is a thank you, Swati madam, for your advice, and it's a stimulation by Aacci and our Adolescence Health Academy, which stimulated me to make such project for IIP, and that's why it's a really raising the flag of IAP. When we get the award of international, that is for IAP, not Vasant Khalatkar or Dr. Swati Bhavi. This is the award for IAP because IAP had made this. Only concept was mine and stimulation by Dr. Swati Bhavi. Really, it's a great honor. Dr. Sangeeta Madam, thank you for accompanying me as a guest of honor. And I wish this is really is a fifth year, and it's a flawless. All the orations I heard, including Dr. Ambedkar, Cecil Sub, but it's a really there is a definite variety always this year. And want to talk about Dr. Gangakhedkar sir, king in every, whether it's administration, whether it's academic, whether it's a vaccine, always किसी का पहला ना first name comes to Dr. Gangakhedkar. I hope Dr. Gangakhedkar sir will advise me how to go do few projects this year also as a president. I know with if he will join with us, we will get new ideas. Again, I wish you all the best for this project, and let's hope this should be. We can do some activities with Indian Academy of Pediatrics. Thank you, madam. Thank you, Samir.
Thank you, KHALATKAR sir. And I really sincerely thanks you that you are with a so much busy schedule. You take a time to become a chief guest of this prestigious oration, and you have taken a time to record this speech in advance to us. And if there's something happen, we will able to release that speech directly on video clip base. But it's now you had already given this thing, so now it's a really sincerely thanks for you. Continue remain present throughout this oration. Thanks a lot. So now it's a time to give a memento felicitation to the Dr. Vasant Khalatkar sir, and that for that we having a recorded version of that memento handover by Dr. Uday Bodankar sir and Dr. R.G. Patil sir from the Nagpur. I am sharing that clip of that memento handover to the all of us.
Thank you, Vasant. Look forward to a glorious tenure and many more things in IAP this year.
So this is a video clip of that felicitation of our chief guest with the memento by our senior members of the Aacci, Dr. Uday Bodankar sir and Dr. R.G. Patil.
Good morning. I am Dr. R.G. Patil, in charge of Association of Adolescent Child Care of India, Vidarbha region. I welcome our today's chief guest, Dr. Vasant Khalatkar. He is the president of IAP 2025 and he holds many national and international positions. I also welcome Dr. Uday Bodankar sir. He is the executive director of COMAD, and we are organizing oration in memory of Dr. R.D. Lele sir. This is the fifth oration on behalf of Association of Adolescent Child Care of India. Dr. Swati Bhave, she is the executive director. Yashwanta Bhave, he is the chairperson. Sharmila Lele, she is the honorary secretary. On behalf of all these members, I request Dr. Bodankar sir to present a memento to our president, Dr. Vasant Khalatkar sir, as a chief guest. Sir, please do the honor.
Yeah. It's a great privilege for me to welcome our national president of IAP, Dr. Vasant Khalatkar, who is from my own city, Nagpur. He is going to be the chief guest at the Adolescent Care India Oration, which is in the name of Padma Bhushan, respected late Dr. R.D. Lele sir. I am associated with this family with Dr. Swati Bhave, who was the national president of IAP in 2000, and she is the executive director. I welcome Dr. Vasant Khalatkar to be the chief guest in the fifth oration along with other people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vasant. Thank you, Dr. Uday Bodankar sir. No.
So I really want to say first thank you, madam, for this beautiful memento. Really, thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasant. Thank you for really being here in spite of your busy schedule. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now it's time to introduce our guest of honor, and for that I requesting the Dr. Sandeep Kavre to give the introduction of Professor Sangeeta Yadav ma'am.
Thank you, Samir sir. It gives me great privilege to introduce Professor Dr. Sangeeta Yadav ma'am. She is a Professor of Excellence, Head Department of Pediatrics at HIMSR Delhi and ex-head at MAMC New Delhi. She is a pediatric and adolescent endocrinology and is involved with adolescent health, vaccinology, disaster management, infectious disease, and environment and health. She has been the vice president of IAP North Zone in 2021. She is the joint secretary liaison at 2018 to 19, and she has held many posts at IAP Endo chapter, council members, as member of European Society of Pediatric Endocrinology since many years. She is the founder member of IAP Adolescent chapter, member of the IAP Immunization Committee, and chairperson of AHA and IAP Delhi in 2014 and 2011 respectively. Ma'am has been awarded many academic achievements, which include fellowship, WHO fellowship in US in 1996. She has been given the prestigious PN Taneja Oration in 2021, and she is awarded the fellowship of IAP since 2008 and member IAP since 1987. Awarded Legends from Delhi in 2024, and she has organized many conferences, workshops, CMEs in various capacities since 1985. She has more than 170 publications in national and international journals, books, and monographs. It also gives me pleasure to tell that my ma'am has been associated with Aacci since many years. And whenever we get an opportunity to interact with her, her calm advice, her organizational skill are always shining through. Even today, when we are working on the modules, we see the work done by Swati Bhave ma'am and Sangeeta Yadav ma'am and the team in 2010, 12, and they have done many activities, and they form the foundation of many modules even today. So thank you, ma'am, for being the guest of honor today, and I welcome you. Thank you.
Yes. So we are happy to hear from the Sangeeta Yadav madam for regarding this today's oration and our orator Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sandeep Kawade, for that kind introduction. I'm really feeling humbled. And respected Mr. Bhave, Dr. Swati Bhave, Professor Gangakhedkar, and our dear President, Dr. VASANT KHALATKAR, Dr. Vikram Lele and Madam Charmila Lele, and the other family members, and the august members of the Association of Adolescents and Child Care in India. I'm indeed feeling very honored for the kind invite extended to be the guest of honor for the prestigious award in the name of Professor R.D. Lele, who was a teacher and academician par excellence. This is being delivered by renowned scientist Professor Raman Gangakhedkar, and the title is very interesting and a little different: Epidemics to Pandemics, Understanding the Evolution. We all know that the pandemics and epidemics spell a disaster for the human mankind, and we have all witnessed the latest COVID-19 pandemic and have very fresh memories which took a toll on the human beings. There also has been a very silent epidemic of HIV. We are all aware of it. We know that children are the most vulnerable groups affected physically and mentally, and having worked as a pediatrician in the disaster management and as well as in the infectious diseases chapter, we are very well aware related to our roles as a pediatrician and especially in Indian Academy of Pediatrics. I've always been guided by Dr. Swati Bhave, from whom I learned immensely. I've learned so many things from her, and she is wonderful both as a person and as a professional colleague. And I know the family very well, and we have had very good, nice times interacting, and we have been working together. So just a small few words related to IAP before, and I know we are all eager to listen to Professor Gangakhedkar, who will be enlightening us related to pandemics and epidemics. Our role is actually to address the issues of the children who have especially for their special healthcare needs. We need to address the life-threatening events, the triaging, the isolation, the quarantine, best approach towards their treatment and clinical practices. Besides this, we have a role for spreading awareness, capacity building, which we have all been doing. We have all been volunteering for work in all sorts of situations, especially disaster-like situations. We also network with various agencies and NGOs and work together. And most important is that we have also to be prepared for both personal and personnel preparedness. That is also the highlight when we have to address these pandemics and epidemics. We have to contribute and understand the public health surveillance, the disease surveillance, and all this. I've been associated with Aacci ever since its inception in 2008, and I have worked in various capacities for very many programs which have been conducted by Dr. Bhave and through her publications and various research programs. Finally, I would like to thank Mr. Bhave, Dr. Swati Bhave, and Dr. Lele's family for this kind gesture. Thank you very much and warm wishes to everyone for this new year. And I also thank Dr. Tannu who took out special time to honor me on behalf of Aacci. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam, for your nice wording on the how we can deal with these type of the situations. And it's a time to felicitate our guest of honor with the memento. And for that, I sincerely thanks the Dr. Tannu to take a good efforts to take a video of that memento handover.
Good morning all. Today we have gathered for Padma Bhushan late Professor Dr. R.D. Lele Oration 2025 to be bestowed by Dr. RAMAN GANGAKHEDKAR sir. And it gives me an immense pleasure to bestow this prestigious honor to the guest of honor on this oration being organized by Adolescent and Childcare Association of Adolescent and Childcare in India, Aacci, the legacy being carried by Mr. Yashwant Bhave and Professor Dr. Swati Bhave ma'am. It has been an honor to work with both of them during my postgraduate days and residency. I am bestowing this honor to Professor Dr. SANGEETA YADAV, who has been my teacher and mentor in adolescent health. She is an epitome of knowledge and skills, and with a vast experience of over 40 years in the field of pediatrics, vaccinology, endocrinology, and adolescent health, ma'am has served in topmost college of India, Maulana Azad Medical College. Currently, she is placed at Himsar Jamia Hamdard. She has over 170 publications to her credit and has been serving in capacities of various pediatric and public health associations. She has also won many national and international accolades. So it's my honor, ma'am, to bestow this.
Thank you very much, Tanu. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanu ma'am, for this on doing this honor on behalf of Aacci to madam. Now it's time to give the introduction of our main speaker, the orator, Dr. Raman GANGAKHEDKAR sir. And I will not waste much time to give the introduction of Dr. GANGAKHEDKAR sir because we all know that he's a legendary personality and having so many things. If I will start the giving the introduction of him, it will itself take a one oration time. So, sir is the distinguished professor of Symbiosis International, Deemed University. Key position held by him is a former Dr. C.G. Pandit National Chair, Indian Council of Medical Research, former head of the Division of the Epidemic Communicable Disease of ICMR, former director in charge of National AIDS Research Institute, Pune. Sir has a many public health contribution, global engagement, and national roles in different places. Main key role is in managing the research and publication during the Nipah, Nika and COVID outbreaks. Member of the National Task Force of the COVID-19 and chair of the COVID-19 Task Force of the Maharashtra. He having a member of the WHO Scientific Advisory Group of the Origin of Novel Pathogens, steering group member of the HIV Resistance Network of WHO Geneva, Indian Lancet Commissioner member of COVID-19, member of National Technical Advisory Group of Immunization, chair the task force of the Subnational Certification for TB Elimination, and member of the Empowered Committee and Review Panel on the Vaccine, Immunization and Diagnostic. He has awarded so many awards. This is just a few of that, and mainly he was given a Padma Shri award in 2020, and he was awarded Doctor of Medical Science of the Honorary Kosa by the Datta Mage Institute of the Medical Science. He was awarded D. Little by Symbiosis International Dim University in 2022 and Lifetime Achievement Award of the Biopharma Excellence Award in Indian edition of 2024. And others are already on the screen. So, sir, we eagerly waiting for you to give an oration on epidemic to pandemic, understanding the evolution. The stage is yours.
Before that, I would just like to say a few words, Samir.
Yeah.
We are really honored that Dr. Gangakhedkar is delivering this fifth oration. Everybody knows in the medical field what a great scientist he is. But I think during the COVID, he became a household name. He was always there on all the TV interviews, educating us about COVID, at times reassuring us. And whenever he came on the TV, we all felt reassured that things are not going to go out of control. I'm especially happy because if we believe in Atma and the soul, my father, if he's listening to this oration, will be really happy because he and Dr. Gangakhedkar go way back. They had a wonderful association and a very common subject of HIV. And I think I'll leave it to Dr. Gangakhedkar to talk about that association. And Dr. Gangakhedkar, we are really very honored that you are delivering this fifth Dr. Lele oration. And thank you from Aacci, Lele and Bave family. Thank you.
Sir, you have to unmute.
Let me first share the screen. Thank you, madam, for inviting me for this prestigious Dr. R.D. Lele oration. My association with sir has been since beginning. When he was the legend who found the first AIDS case, which was reported from India, and then I started my career in HIV in 1989, which was much later, almost 3 years late. And he was always supportive of all of us when it came to different issues. Very young at heart when it comes to passion for research, but he was too tall for us, whether chronologically, by his work, by his humility. We learned a lot. Thank you. I won't waste more time because we would perhaps start off with the talk that I'm to deliver as of now. Now, what I'm going to do actually is try and look at different epidemics or pandemics with which I have been associated, what all we did, how did it impact, and the learnings that we would have with different aspects related to this. More often than not, all of us understand there are 4 different things. There is outbreak, there is epidemic, there is pandemic, and endemic. Most of it is related to expected rate of occurrence of the disease and perhaps the spread that tends to occur. Now, more often than not, we tend to think that if we label today let's say, HIV as a pandemic, it will continue to remain as a pandemic, which is not true. No, it all depends on, it's not a fixed state, but it's a dynamic kind of a state where transitions can occur from one to another. Now, this is generally impacted because of mutations that occur. Now, one of the best examples is COVID, as we have seen. As the virus mutates, the impact becomes less and lesser. But at the same time, if you just see, the pandemic will continue to exist because the virus is trying to adjust with the human interventions per se. It will also depend on preventive and therapeutic interventions that we undertake, because then we can curtail that pandemic or an epidemic to a larger extent. It also depends on public health response. How seriously have we fought against this particular infection that was spreading, and the community involvement, which to my mind holds the key of disease elimination, especially pandemic controls or epidemic control per se. Now, let me start with how we began our career and how we tried to shape with different pandemics that we faced. Fortunately for me, I could get associated with these pandemics because I was with ICMR. Now, if you look at history of pandemics, there are multiple pandemics that came. These pandemics essentially were of a smaller size in the past because our population sizes were small. We do not know whether they were actually pandemics. Sometimes you will always wonder whether it was pandemic or not, mainly because the geographic area was also smaller and most of the areas did not report things because those days things were different. But recently, we faced major pandemics that were related to, one was HIV, the second one was influenza, the third one that came around was Zika, and the fourth one that we faced recently was COVID. And we will try and see how we try to respond to all of them at different time points wherever we were involved, and I would like to find out the lessons that one would learn by that. Now, if you look at HIV disease, the mode of transmission itself, whether it was sexual, whether it was injection drug use, it used to be associated with very high level of stigma. And this was an infection, therefore, that was occurring in socially challenged populations. Now, when you have socially challenged populations, policy making in these groups tends to become challenging all through, because people don't think that it is going to give you visibility in public health intervention. Now, what was worse was the infected individuals used to remain in the incubation period for a long time, and therefore recognizing them becomes a huge issue, and therefore these kinds of pandemics are more likely to spread rapidly, or perhaps you will certainly find that the numbers are far too higher because we could not recognize these people otherwise. This was followed with unprecedented antiretroviral drug discoveries that reduce the morbidity as well as mortality. Now, the question that comes is, if we reduce the morbidity and mortality, the pandemic must survive far more than we can imagine. But one of the good things that happened in these discoveries is there was a concept that emerged: treatment as prevention. If I treat an individual, then the likelihood of transmission of this particular infection to others is also reduced dramatically. Now, AIDS actually, or HIV disease as we call, is one disease where we may eliminate this particular infection, but at the same time, one of the major features is we still don't have a vaccine, we don't have a cure, but it is all these efforts which will ensure that the disease goes down. Now, more often than not, we used to call it as pandemic. But the reality of life today is, if you look at India, you have only 0.2% adults between 15 to 49 years age group, they are likely to be found as HIV infected. Now, this essentially should qualify to be a disease that is endemic rather than an epidemic as of now. Now, I recall those days where we were also associated with Dr. Lele, that those days there was something in UN agencies called as Global Program on AIDS. And one of the estimations in 1990s that they gave was India was expected to have 4 crore HIV infected individuals by 2080. That was a very scary thing. And today, with the interventions that we could follow, we have managed to stop this infection to close to only about 24 lakh people who may be infected at this point in time. Now, how could this happen in a country like India? One was comprehensive dynamic programming by progressive policymakers in NACO. There were extensive behavior change communication campaigns in the initial years, early development of targeted interventions, because our epidemic was different than the world's. It was driven by sex work and not only by sex. No, that makes a huge difference in formulating different strategies for the program. And all these key subpopulations were given primacy in intervention to develop interventions in the national program phase 2. Despite being a middle income country, early adoption of programmatic strategies that was based on antiretrovirals and its scale up made a dramatic difference altogether. Early efforts of community mobilizations, which were very crucial, and their community's involvement in development of programmatic strategy, implementation, or modification actually made a huge difference here. When we started, the life was little difficult because you had to have a strategic approach to be successful. And advocacy actually came very strongly from Dr. Gilada, who was also one who was associated with Dr. Lele for a very long period of time. Some of us used this particular advocacy that was there in strategically trying to impact destigmatization, sensitizing policymakers, and support of self-groups, which was important. Now, I must mention key roles that were played for sex workers. It was Dr. Thakur and Jana. Swarup was more at the end of policy making, and Dr. JBR Prasad Rao and PL Joshi were the key supporters, program supporters uh, after some time. I recall my days when I was transferred to Pune. ICMR constituted National AIDS Research Institute. Earlier, I used to work with Institute of Immunohematology in Bombay, where I used to work on sickle cell disease. I never thought that Pune would be hotbed for HIV at that juncture. And when we came, we started a study where we wanted to look at, that was a very, very big cohort that we had of sex workers and other at-risk populations. And what is it that we found? Extremely high HIV incidence as well as prevalence in the population of sex workers. Now that was perhaps the highest at any given point in time in the world that was being reported at that juncture. And this HIV epidemic was unfolding. At that point, what happens is the policymakers or politicians, they tend to feel this is a disease of sinners, no? Those who are sex workers, those who are men having sex with men, injection drug users, why should I help them? There is a kind of apathy that tends to come there. Now, one of the ways I thought we could overcome was I published a paper sometime around 1997, if I'm correct, where all these women who were coming to the STD clinics, these women were tested for HIV, and we tried to find out among those who denied history of sex work, whether they were married, whether they had more than one partner. And what came as a surprise was majority of these women who denied history of sex work, they were actually married monogamous. It was their partner who was actually enhancing the risk of acquisition of HIV. And this finding was extremely useful. And the reason why we wrote this paper, it was only because we wanted to attract attention of the policymakers, induce them into developing policies against HIV. The moment you talk of married monogamous women, the outlook changes. If their risk is high, and if it is because of males, this particular issue, got significance, and then the entire publication was used by UNAIDS for developing advocacy, for developing women-centric prevention methods. In the process, one thing which also was understood, that if a woman is looked differently by a policymaker to develop policies against it, because she was considered as innocent in courts, and the others who were almost like perpetrators of crime. So one way we thought that if it is a woman, if we are so successful in developing policies, why not look at pregnant women? It becomes a dual approach, because in 1994, the antiretroviral therapy was discovered sometime in 94. And from there on in the West, they started using ART, the antiretroviral therapy, for treatment. But it was very difficult to do it in India because we would never get that kind of support. So I came from Johns Hopkins after doing MPH there. And one thing which I understood is, we have to develop some intervention for pregnancy, which will be useful for even looking at development of free antiretroviral therapy program later. But then how do you attract attention? Because it requires a lot of effort for counseling. And if it is counseling, one of the issues was, how can you, if the government is going to act that they want to add counselors, how can you advocate for the same? You can advocate for the same by doing some kind of trials. But if I do that trial, the fear was no ethics committee will approve any kind of a trial where ethically, if I'm not giving counseling to somebody and counseling to one of the groups, that would not be acceptable. So we did, at that juncture in the world, we did not have a good design, a good data. So we did a study where we did a longitudinal study where repeated counseling versus those who were not getting it repeatedly was looked at. And that became one of the best papers which was published as a best practice in UNAIDS. And that we used to add counselors, a cadre which was never there in public health setting at that point in time. Then came another challenge, because if you want to reduce the vulnerability, we know that the risk of transmission during sexual intercourse continues to be low, but it is enhanced because of presence of sexually transmitted diseases. So one issue that came up was WHO said that we must have syndromic approach, so that you don't need to diagnose that infection correctly. Etiologic diagnosis is not required. You provide a kind of a general practice like treatment where it covers all the STDs that could be there. But that was not accepted by majority of the STD practitioners. And it used to become a very difficult thing to push programmatically the syndromic approach. One of the studies we did was we tried to look at, we used multiplex PCR, which used to detect 3 different diseases which could cause ulcerative diseases and look at it. So we used that. And what was it that we could establish? that most of the people, close to about 20% people who were coming with sexually transmitted diseases, they had more than one sexually transmitted disease. And what was it that was becoming visible if we go by standard etiologic diagnosis? We could pick up only one, even if it was a clinical picture or the usual etiologic diagnosis. So that became that was the reason why they used to say, we will go by etiologic diagnosis. Then we found they had more than one STD because we used molecular technique, and therefore the differences in incubation period ensured that at that point in time, you may detect only one clinical case of a particular disease. Instead, if you use molecular technique, there were more than one. And the result was, then we pushed this throughout the country, and we started in training programs at why we have to use syndromic approach, which became later popular. At Gadikhana, one of the things that we were looking at different kinds of men. Now there, we tried to look at circumcision. Now, circumcision, we know, was considered as protective against HIV. And to our surprise, one thing which we found, that it definitely protects one against HIV infection. However, even if the risk is reduced against HIV, the protection against other STDs does not exist, whether it is herpes, whether it is syphilis, whether it is gonorrhea. And the result is that protection is reduced significantly if even if these people are protected by circumcision, because it doesn't protect against STIs. And this opened up this area of work across the world. This was a small letter in Lancet, and that made a huge difference because people started looking at different field trials against using circumcision as an approach. Then the PMT-CT story started in 1997. When I came back, first I was hopeful I will use a different kind of a drug. So I started one on ritonavir, and everyone refused. UNICEF said we would not be willing to provide funds for clinical trial because that doesn't come under their mandate. And Mr. Prasad Rao, who was DG NACO, at that time during lunchtime, he suddenly said, why should we not do our own study for using Bangkok regimen, which was Zidovudin-based regimen, since he had come the other day from Bangkok. And he said, I will ask you to develop protocol in 7 days. We will go for first indigenous investment in AIDS. That was something which was missing. All the time it used to be World Bank, which was providing funds. And he made one after development of protocol. There 11 crore rupees was the first investment that India made into development of 11 centers of excellence in India to conduct Zidovudin as well as single-dose nevirapine study to prevent mother-to-child transmission. And then the national program was started in 2002. And we used this, at least I tried a different way, because Mrs. Sushma Swaraj, she had lost election against Sonia Gandhi in Bellary. And at that juncture, she became health minister. And she wanted to develop the most comprehensive program for Bellary. There, taking that small opportunity, we wrote free antiretroviral program for Bellary. And once it was approved, suddenly the things changed. We used the precedents to expand this nationally in 2004, and that's how free antiretroviral therapy, which requires lifelong treatment, a costly proposition, it also started in India. One of the major breakthroughs of our research, which was conducted at NARI, was SPTN 052 trial that we conducted. We were expected to provide This was a multinational study, NIH-supported study. In that, we were providing antiretroviral drugs to an infected partner in serodiscordant settings. And what was it that we found? That there was 93% reduction in secondary transmission that could occur to HIV in discordant couple setting. And there was an added benefit that these people who received antiretroviral therapy, they did not develop certain opportunistic infections like tuberculosis and things like that. This subsequently led to development of a concept which was called as treatment as prevention, and this actually took long time for us to push into programming. It took almost 5 years because of the cost related issues. There were fears that we don't have that kind of infrastructure to start off using this approach, where anybody who walks in with HIV test positive will be provided with this antiretroviral therapy, irrespective of their CD4 count, irrespective of anything. The sole thing that was looked at is it would reduce the mass, the community viral loads, and therefore the risk of transmission will be reduced. It took 5 years, there is no doubt on that. This happened in 2017, that treatment as prevention as a concept went straight away. Next thing we did, program did not have viral loads for assessment or monitoring per se. So one study which I took was to push for advocacy was we started looking at the viral loads at 1 year time, because by then perhaps those who drop out of any cohort of people receiving ART used to be one of the highest. And what is it that we found? That almost about 10 to 12%, which varied in different clinics, had viral load which was detectable, which was against the tenets of management at that juncture. And this led to introduction of viral load into program. At that juncture, I can definitely say the cost of viral load testing was almost 3,000 rupees. But still we could push the government right way and ensure that things could happen in the right way. So if you look at HIV, the free ART program was the first program for any chronic disease management that required lifelong treatment. What is the lesson that one learns? No, never give up. The other constraints that you tend to perceive will be overcome very easily, but search for solutions, how to advocate and which kind of studies would perhaps help you overcoming them is something which we have to think about rather than getting dejected at spot every opportunity. For TB, this was related to HIV. Now, one of the things that was happening was in our country, we used to give intermittent dots. And then the issue as to intermittent dots is something which we never liked, because essentially one of the things which was always perceived was intermittent dots leads to higher incidence of MDR-TB. So for HIV, they just called me. They were thinking in terms of whether they should use daily dots or not in the guideline development program meeting. And there, I realized that the entire setting was changing, and they were saying status quo should be maintained. There will be intermittent dots that will be provided. I do not know how, but suddenly I felt now we need to generate our own evidence. They were consistently asking that. So I took up the challenge. I said in the next 15 days, I will come back with data. And they were surprised, mainly because we used to have only intermittent dots data. Program has a tight control on which drugs to be given. But in private sector, I knew that this data exists. And I took some of my friends' data, and that data we analyzed. And later what happened? Later they had to change the first time the daily dots was introduced for HIV and HIV TB patients. and that was only on an experimental basis. They said after 6 months, we will revise and relook at the data whether it can be introduced for all TB patients. But that was also possible. One of the reasons why I'm mentioning it here is TB is called as endemic disease, but perhaps it is also a reflection of our poor research, our interventions that are not there, which made a huge difference. The disease continued for a very long period of time. Unlike what you see in HIV, TB we could not control, and now we have a major challenge ahead of us as to how we will stop TB or eliminate this tuberculosis by 2030. But I had headed TB consortium, which had huge budget where new vaccine trials was also undertaken, and there are newer, shorter regimens that are also coming up. So perhaps that will cut short the time to eliminate tuberculosis to some extent, which has a major other issue because management of LTBI, that is latent tuberculosis, is critical, and those strategies are also being introduced. One of the things that we have to remember, there is an outbreak, there could be an epidemic, but if we attack that well, we know that we can reduce the magnitude per se. Now, if that happens, there is one lesson that we have to remember. If I don't continue my strategies or sustain them strongly, you'll find they can come back and hit you again. The best examples are visceral leishmaniasis, lymphatic filariasis, malaria and leprosy. From eradication programs, we had to again start coming back to elimination programs per se. So one issue is sustaining what actually is achieved as a programmatic success. Why does it happen? It happens because community involvement is vital to sustain elimination. Otherwise, again, introduction of multi-drug resistance will lead to emergence of this again in an epidemic proportion. Now, one of the issues that we have to remember, one of the biggest challenges we had in HIV is all these people who are infected have to take treatment regularly. And by regularly means, whenever we speak of regularly, we say 12 hours apart rather than BD. The reason is drug resistance should not appear among these people. And if we are going to push to such key population whose understanding is likely to be low, positioning treatment literacy, giving it priority is extremely vital. And that is the sole reason all the efforts of community empowerment, they worked really well. And we have come forward towards looking at this kind of a scenario where AIDS appears as one which continues to be a disease where success in elimination may come by 2030. When I went to ICMR in 2018 as head of ECD, there's one thing which happened in the month of May. Suddenly, there were reports of a certain clinical phenotype, which when we looked at it, we found it was Nipah virus. Now, Kerala had never reported Nipah. It was always reported in Bangladesh. What was worse was there is a scare. There used to be a scare that these patients, if Nipah has come to Kerala with no connection whatsoever between West Bengal and Kerala, we thought there were fears that people used to express. Is it because of some terrorist organizations which are located in that area? Because one of the soldiers had also got this particular infection. Then the major task that was entrusted to us in ICMR was try and ensure that Nipah does not go beyond. And all of us know in Kerala, population density is high enough. You can't make out different villages. They're all roadside. And it's easy to spread. So one of the things which we did a comprehensive study within 15 days. Till that time the outbreak lasted, we had started off on every possible angle. We showed that this was coming from bats and not from pigs, as was thought that time, which also told us that perhaps this is not likely to spread as much, because pigs would have had been little difficult to handle compared to this. We established that we perhaps would need an animal One Health kind of a surveillance as such. In 15 days time, we actually managed to ensure that we bring in a monoclonal, which was developed in USA, and it was kept in Australian government setting. We managed to get 50 these monoclonal dosages to go for a trial, but fortunately for us, this was never required. The outbreak died down, and we could not do these monoclonal studies. But what actually happened was, since we took the comprehensive approach, we managed to even sensitize the community and also develop a molecular point of care test in with the support that came from one of the private companies. And this is the only test against Nipah which is actually available today today globally. It was approved by DCGI, but it could not be approved by US FDA because they don't have any panel to test it against. And similarly, we went ahead to develop molecular test against leptospira. Why am I telling this? These become extremely important for reducing the spread. If I can diagnose well, if I can isolate them well, and we did this very well for Nipah, and the result was Nipah stopped after whatever 21 odd cases happened, and then subsequently next year the community could detect. Next year, the hospitals which were involved, one of the private hospitals detected one case that came exactly 1 year after, and the entire success goes to Kerala Public Health Department, that they did not allow it to spread. So basically, the diseases which have proportion, which have the ability to spread across, if we stop them, perhaps you still win the battle against those germs that can be difficult to handle. Same happened with Zika. Zika occurred in Jaipur. A pregnant woman was found to have Zika in her body, and all the time we used to say that Zika is an imported infection. But it was time we thought that we will find out whether it is already established, because these are mosquito vector related diseases, and it also means that the infection will continue to be seen in India. So we pressed all kinds of studies, and to our surprise, Zika was not an imported disease. Zika started here, but the good part of the Indian strain that we have, it it appears that it does not lead to microcephaly as commonly as we tend to believe based on Brazilian data, and neither the genes which are associated with this microcephaly, they were also absent in our part. Now, infections which have a high transmission efficiency, they spread very rapidly, and outbreaks tend to get over very quickly. And why am I stating this as a challenge? In research, if you want to do any kind of a trial, whether it is for Zika, chikungunya, or dengue, it becomes very difficult to conduct research. Whole reason is you cannot predict how soon the outbreak will stop, and then where will this outbreak occur. So there are difficulties in the entire situation, and COVID became subsequently the best example, because COVID could occur, infect all 100% and just go. So your interventions to manage would perhaps not be completely done in those settings. When it comes to COVID, history will remember COVID for the astounding scientific achievements in a very short period of time. It has the fastest development of COVID vaccines, diagnostic tests, monoclonal antibodies, the rollout among adults, and yet there are many lessons that we have to learn from it. look at the time taken to develop COVID vaccine candidates, and this required hardly about 3 weeks time. Now that's something which is crucial. Look at one achievement at our end in India. The first approved DNA vaccine in the world is ZyCoV-D. No other DNA vaccine was approved for human usages, and it was using novel dispenser of non-invasive jets at that juncture. And all this mRNA technology, which made huge difference in development of vaccines rapidly, if you actually look at it, this mRNA vaccines techniques of mRNA were actually developed in 1987. The researcher could not even find a publisher to publish his manuscript per se, and he had to struggle for a long period of time. But what does it tell you? We need to continue our focus on basic science. We cannot neglect basic science altogether. We do not know what finding will become useful over a period of time is something which we have to remember. Now, when it all started in India, one of the biggest dilemmas that we had that we did not have good vaccine platforms. No, we relied entirely for vaccine development on older platforms. And therefore, our choices became limited. And then what happened? We had to ask Bharat Biotech, share our virus to develop whole inactivated vaccine. None of us were confident that it is going to work all the time, but that risk was worth taking. And then, since adenovirus-based vaccine was being developed elsewhere, we did not have that technology. One thing which we could do was request Dr. Andrew Hill, who was at Oxford, who developed this vaccine, to try and work with with Serum Institute and develop this Covishield vaccine. It took a long time because you had almost 2 months of time that we required to ensure that technology development tends to take place to develop this vaccine. Now, where are we? We have made immense difference now. There are no vaccine platforms, newer vaccine platforms that are not there as of now in India. You find there is adenovirus vector, which is there, DNA, mRNA, SARS-CoV-2 RS protein, that is a nanoparticle-based vaccine, protein subunit vaccine. So as time passes by, one realization led to at least a futuristic thinking that if we want to prepare ourselves against pandemics, future pandemics, we need to have any of these platforms. All the platforms must be there and they must be maintained so that next time we'll be able to develop different interventions very quickly. But there were regulatory issues which actually led to a lot of controversies as such. We had to use adaptive trial design. Vaccine trials were done parallelly to reduce time, which was hitherto unknown. All vaccines were developed on Wuhan virus, and therefore the major challenge was when something new used to hit, whether our vaccine, which was developed on Wuhan virus, will work or not, had to be handled well. What is also important is there were some of those trials where certain mistakes were conducted and they had to be accepted in public, and we had to take calculated call whether we should continue accepting, giving approval to such vaccines. In India, it became still worse. We had to give approvals on interim analysis, no? And that's something which reduces the power to understand the findings. But immunogenicity data, which we had used as a proxy, people were extremely worried as to whether we are on the right path. Fortunately for us, we were on the right path. And then another challenge that tends to come is most of these vaccine trials or drug trials, they tend to exclude pregnant women and children under 16. Now, if that happens, and people who are older, they are also not included. Immunocompromised hosts, they are also not there. One of the issues that comes, especially in case like COVID, we were to ask everybody to take that vaccine. Now, this data for the most important, most vulnerable population actually did not exist as much, excepting for couple of vaccine trials which were done in the West. So there was a need, that we should develop some kind of guidelines as to how we should handle in such an emergency, which has now been plugged. So all regulatory issues have been overcome to a larger extent now. So our pandemic preparedness has gone up. But there is a lesson in the whole thing. There was so much of panic. And if you look at the cumulative publications that occurred uh, in November 2020 on COVID versus all that has been happening for other infectious diseases, whether it is influenza or whatever, people actually put in a lot of efforts to write publications based on their experiences. You find that in COVID, 70,000 odd publications were there within 10 months of its occurrence. And look at influenza, you have close to about 136,000 papers in 30 years' time. Look at TB, it was only 263,000. And when it happens, when there is a fear, people start working together. These publications come up in a quick time. So for the first time, preprints was something which was introduced in medical literature. That the peer review is yet to be done, but that article would be read. And what happens when there is a panic in the community? Everybody starts reading those and they misinterpret. What occurs after that? The infodemic and the impact of social media suddenly spreads the misinterpreted findings, and it leads to all kinds of challenges that you can face. None of us are aware of methods where you can plug such a wrong thing happening, but we need to devise approaches to overcome these challenges. And one of the best examples perhaps today is HMPV, which we will see subsequently, which occurred only because of media's reporting, which never had any truth. But one thing which happened with COVID was primacy was placed for development of One Health approach, ensure that there is an approach of conducting surveillance or studies for vaccine trials or whatever among humans, animals, fisheries, agriculture, and environment, because basically you will find they influence the new organisms that tend to jump in from one species to another. So using common testing protocol, coordination between agencies is a vital thing which started happening. And one good thing that happened during COVID time, we we wrote to the finance ministry that we need to have some kind of budget allocated for 2021. No, here, we would like to establish National Institute for One Health, 4 regional virology institute, 10 SEER countries research platform, strengthening VRDLs, and start infectious disease blocks at the district level. Fortunately, the environment was so strong, so good, enabling. These things became reality in 2021 budget, and today some of the things are already occurring at a rapid pace so that our communities will be protected to a larger extent against the newer organisms. Then came HMPV, sorry, not HPMV, HMPV. Now, what happened in HMPV? It was sensationalized by social media. Actually, this virus is present in almost all countries. There is 4% incidence of this particular infection during winter season. Our data also in the country showed that we have this virus since long. Uh, the natural history is pretty mild, but there was no way we could stop, at least for one to 2 weeks. The panic unnecessarily stayed here. But this particular virus is not something which we should have been worrying. So what is the next thing that we should worry about? If you look at the WHO's R&D blueprint list, where there are certain diseases, certain organisms, which we always keep in mind that would have a pandemic potential to spread across. One is CCHF. The ones in red are the ones I think are most dangerous in terms of the impact that it will have. You could have CCHF, you could have SARS again, Nipah, Zika, chikungunya, and dengue, to my mind. If you ask me of these, perhaps what is also more likely to happen is CCHF, that tends to occur in large parts of the country, but none of us have given that importance because it gets arrested very easily with developmental approaches which protect human beings from acquiring it, excepting the healthcare workers who may acquire just because they are treating such people and they would perhaps succumb to this. What could, to my mind, what could be the disease X now? The disease X, to my mind, will continue to come from bats as vector. Coronaviruses will continue to be a threat because these viruses change so rapidly and have been able to learn how to enter into human cell very quickly. But more than everything else, whether it is antimicrobial resistance, which is going to come as a major challenge because of current geopolitical scenario, it is also likely that people will have to keep sight on some biological weapon which may come from any of these countries at war, because we are losing ethics of war or ethics in war as much at this juncture. But with the pandemic preparedness that we are doing, whether it is monkeys from where we got HIV or bats, we should be, with this pandemic preparedness, we should be able to ensure that we would be safe, there would be a balance, even if these animals would have challenging organisms, we will be able to maintain a symbiotic relationship with them. Thank you once again. I'm sorry, I don't know whether it is for a longer period that I spoke. Thank you.
It was worth every minute you spoke. It was such an inspiring and such a learning experience, which went through your own personal experience, which was translated to the welfare of the whole country. And we are really grateful that we had a scientist like you who took us through so many important epidemics and not going into pandemics. Thank you so much.
So it's a really excellent journey what the sir has started from the HIV to ending with the HMPV virus, and it's a we really learn an excellent lesson that we are really have to learn the things from the all the diversity what we are getting, and that is the thing excellently what we able to do if we will get such type of the situation, and that are the considered as a lifetime experience for us to learn such a things, and that will be we can reproduce again as and when required. So it's really great to hear sir about the things what he has done the excellent work for that. And now it's time to felicitate the orator sir to with the oration and the citation reading. So I sincerely thanks for the oration, plaque reading, plaque giving and citation for the Dr. Bageshji and Dr. Sandeep Kavre from Pune, who have taken a full efforts to give this to in person to Sir Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar sir regarding for that felicitation. First, we will start with the citation reading by Dr. Bageshji.
Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar, Distinguished Professor, Symbiosis International Deemed University. Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar, Padma Shri Awardee 2020, is a distinguished professor at Symbiosis International Deemed University, Pune. Renowned for his contributions to public health and infectious diseases, Dr. Gangakhedkar formerly held the prestigious Dr. C.G. Pandit National Chair at the Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR. He also served as a head of the Division of Epidemiology and Communicable Diseases, ICD, at ICMR, and as the Director in charge of National AIDS Research Institute, Pune. Dr. Gangakhedkar has been a pivotal figure in India's public health responses to major outbreaks including Nipah, Zika, and COVID-19, as a member of the National Task Force on COVID-19 and chair of the COVID Task Force of Maharashtra. He has contributed extensively to global health through his roles in the WHO's Scientific Advisory Group of the Origins of Novel Pathogens, SAGO, the India Lancet Commission on COVID-19, and WHO Steering Group on HIV Resistance Network, HIV ResNet. In his illustrious career spanning over 3 decades, Dr. Gangakhedkar has been a cornerstone in the field of HIV medicine, public health, and epidemiology. He has significantly influenced national policies on antiretroviral therapy, prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV, and key population-specific interventions. As a compassionate clinician and an expert in advocacy, tirelessly to empower marginalized communities and enhance treatment literacy. Dr. Gangakhedkar's academic contributions are immense, with over 238 research publications in leading national and international journals. He has been an advisor and member of multiple esteemed committees across national and global platforms, including the National AIDS Control Organization, NACO, and the National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization and the National TB Elimination Program. His exceptional contributions have been recognized through numerous awards, including Doctor of Medical Science by Datta Meghe Institute of Medical Science 2021, DLIT by Symbiosis International Deemed University 2022, Lifetime Achievement Awards by Biopharma Excellence 2024, AIDS Society of India 2022, and Army Institute of Technology 2021, Marathwada Bhushan Award 2023, Karma Yogam Vijayatai Lavate Award 2021. It is an honor to award Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar the Dr. Late R.D. Lele Oration on Epidemics to Pandemics, Understanding the Evolution on 19th January 2025, recognizing his extraordinary contributions to medicine, public health, and social well-being. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, all. It gives me great honor to give this memento to Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar, sir, our esteemed speaker for today on behalf of Aacci. Sir, welcome you to our 5th Dr. Lele Oration. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So this is the sweet memory of today's oration, what we able to deliver by the Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar sir, and this is the memory of the all the memento that is hand over to the our orator sir, Dr. Chief Guest Dr. VASANT KHALATKAR sir, and to the our guest of honor Dr. SANGEETA YADAV. So with this sweet memory, everything has to come to one end, and this is in now. It's a time to complete our oration before we can disperse for the formal discussion. And for that, I give a recorded vote of thanks of our Aacci Secretary, Mrs. Sharmila Lele.
Samir, just 1 minute. Normally, we don't allow question answer sessions after an oration, but our geriatrician, Dr. Avinash Kinikar, has a question which I think Dr. Gangakhedkar should answer because it's a little practical importance for all senior citizens. Dr. Gangakhedkar, Avinash wanted to know that is there any use of taking BCG vaccine at the age of 60 years to give us innate immunity?
Yeah. During COVID time, BCG was also tested in the geriatric population because we wanted to protect over 65 population. But there were major challenges in conduct of these trials because there were lots of confoundings that were seen. But the cohort, which there were two. First worry is, would they develop ulcers? No? Because they may be having certain conditions that are there concurrently, whether it is uncontrolled diabetes or whatever. can it lead to problems? The second issue that is done is currently at NIRT, National Institute for Research in Tuberculosis. The cohort continues to be followed so that we will at least have some information, which may not be related to COVID now, because this would be perhaps only on the immunogenicity and immune protection side. But that information is not currently available in public domain.
Thank you.
But that is being studied as an approach. Perhaps it may be useful. We still don't know correctly.
Thank you, Dr.
Madam,
yeah.
Definitely, madam. Few more questions may be there, but we can continue in the
there are
informal
no more
session after
questions.
the complete.
There are no more questions. This was the only question. You can start with the vote of thanks.
So my screen is visible, right?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. As Secretary of ACCI, it is my pleasure to give the vote of thanks. First of all, the speaker of today's fifth Dr. R.D. Lele Oration, Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar, Distinguished Professor, Symbiosis International Deemed University, former Dr. C.G. Pandit National Chair, Indian Council of Medical Research, for accepting our invitation and delivering a very, very inspiring lecture on a critical issue, epidemics to pandemics, understanding the evolution. We thank Dr. VASANT KHALATKAR, IAP President from Nagpur, for gracing the occasion and his excellent address. Guest of honor, Professor Sangeeta YADAV, Head PEDS HIMSR, Delhi, for her excellent speech. We thank Dr. Sandeep Kaude from Pune, Dr. R.G. Patil from Nagpur, and Dr. Tanu Anand from Delhi for taking special efforts to make the beautiful videos for the memento ceremony for our orators in Pune, chief guest in Nagpur, and guest of honor in Delhi. Mrs. Jayasri Kanade, niece of Dr. R.D. Lele, for her melodious recitation of Saraswati Vandana as per every year. Dr. Samir Shah, AACCI National Coordinator for planning and conducting and comparing this whole digital program with his meticulous planning. Like last 4 years, he has couriered the mementos from Vadodara and coordinated the memento video making as well. Dr. Sandeep Kaude, in charge of AACCI National Parent Forum and AACCI PCB Center, Dr. Prashant Karia, in charge AACCI National Youth Forum and AACCI Surat Center, co-comparing along with Dr. Samir Shah. All the ACCI volunteers who are members of the AACCI family for circulating the banner and link of the oration and registering for the event. And last but not the least, for all the participants for sparing time and logging in for the event and multiplying our joy, as you all have been closely associated with late Dr. R.D. Lele. You've been his students, friends, or colleagues, and we truly appreciate your presence today. The Lele and Bhavi families will always remember your presence on this very important occasion. Thank you, everyone, for being here today, and have a great, great evening ahead and a good week ahead, too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure that we can able to complete our oration on time, what we are committed for, and this is the what we usually follow in the Aacci as a protocol. Thanks a lot to the each and every participants to remain present till and give a joyful experience of this oration. And sincerely thank the Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar sir, our orator, our chief guest Dr. VASANT KHALATKAR, and Dr. Sangeeta YADAV madam, our guest of honor, for chairing the session nicely. Thank you. Madam, over to you.
Yeah, so Dr. Gangakhedkar, this has been recorded And this YouTube link will be shared on all the Aacci groups, and all of you also can in turn share it with all your groups, because I'm sure those who missed listening to Dr. Gangakhedkar would definitely want to hear his recorded session. And I'm sure this Samir, as with his usual meticulousness, will give us this link as soon as possible. And
I already shared.
yes,
Already shared.
Yeah, good. So this will be reshared, and we'll of course get a lot of views on this. Thank you, Dr. Gangakhedkar, and look forward
Thank
to
you.
meeting you in person again. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
sir, and thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you. Ma'am, we can have one group photo.
Thank you all, madam.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody, please open your videos. We'll have 2 screenshots. This is the first screenshot, and then we'll go to the second screenshot. Can everybody please
What are
mute
request?
and open their video, please? My son Aditya Bhave has lodged from USA, Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar. He's a techie from San Jose. Welcome, Aditya.
Thanks.
Prashant, your video, Madam Phadke video, Avinash Kenikar video, Hema Bindu, Agarkar, Madhuri. Please put your video so we can take a photo, please.
My video is there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
तेरा गया था बीच में.
फोन आ गया बीच में.
Okay. एक तो ले लो, फिर we can take a second one with more video.
Ma'am, ले लिया.
ले
Already
लिया.
ले लिया.
The
It's a
second
series of
screen?
photographs is going on.
The second screen?
It is there.
अच्छा, हो गया सबका?
हो गया, हो गया.
Yeah. Hi, Madhuri. Dr. Madhuri Kanetkar was our second orator, and she spoke beautifully about war against COVID and the military preparedness. So we have a
Madhuri, ma'am, you have to unmute.
Today's talk was really excellent. Thanks to Aacci and thanks to Dr. Gangakhedkar.
Yeah. We are very privileged that such wonderful, eminent orators like you and Dr. Gangakhedkar and Anuradha Sovani and all have been, Amdekar, Anupam Sibbal have been our orators in the past. We are really grateful.
Thank you so much.
So photo over, Samir?
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely to see Dr. Madhuri as usual.
Yeah.
Hi.
Smile, so much positive energy we get.
No, this was so this thing because I feel very lucky to have worked with Dr. Gangakhedkar on some committees, and it's always such a pleasure with the pearls of wisdom he shares with all of us. And what he ended in, it's on a positive note. The One Health is going on in full steam of all the recommendations. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to Delhi. It's taken up as a STIAC, Prime Minister's Scientific Technical Advisory Missions project. And we're linking 23 VRDL labs to have a One Health approach and capacity building as a first step.
Amazing for our country.
Yeah, absolutely. And a first exercise on it, like a joint preparedness for this was already undertaken under DGICMR as Operation Vishanu Shakti. It was done in outskirts in the Rajasthan area, and it was a big learning experience.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Gangakhedkar has left.
Oh,
But I'll convey
because he'd
whatever
be
you have
very
said.
happy. Yeah, he'd be very happy to
I'll
know,
convey
because
this.
it's I mean, the work they did is being taken forward before it cools down and people forget the lessons learned. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Samir, all good things have to end. So I think we'll stop the recording. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
What is
Thank you,
required?
madam.
Bring it
Nice
forward.
meeting Madhuri, ma'am, after a long gap.
Hi.